And as our state converts ferries to hybrid electric, there's a different problem. It focuses on how to properly and safely dispose of retired ferries. This is the Olympic. It has been abandoned off Ketron Island in the Puget Sound for 15 years, and it could be there a lot longer. Reporter Aspen Ford of Investigate West has been digging into this situation, and she's joining us now. Thank you for being here, Aspen.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So why is an aging ship like the Olympic just sitting there for 15 years?
Yeah, so it's kind of a complicated history with this ferry. It's on private property, and it's also too large of a vessel to be removed by the state's derelict vessel removal program. It's 206 feet. Their limits are at 200 feet. And because it's on private property, it's actually not considered derelict, and the owner has been uncooperative with state agencies who have asked him to remove it. And it's just such a large vessel, it's really hard to move it at all. So, yeah.
So can the state step in to remove a boat like the Olympic in this case?
If it was under 200 feet, it definitely could. But the derelict vessel removal program is not legally allowed to touch it since it is over that threshold.
Well, how do you dispose of a giant ferry? How much money would it cost?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's really a big problem, not only in Washington, but all along the West Coast. There's not really a great way to dispose of these ferries. The closest ship breaking facility is in Brownsville, Texas. So just transporting a ferry alone over there would cost probably $1 million. And then, you would have to pay for it to be deconstructed too. So likely millions of dollars.
We know chemicals are often a concern with these types of vessels. Do retired or abandoned ferries pose dangers to the wildlife around it? I mean, is this the problem if it's just sitting on private property?
Yeah, it's definitely, it's in a really kind of remote area. There's a lot of wildlife, birds, harbor seals, all kinds of wildlife. There's never been any formal investigation into this specific ferry as to how it's affected the environment. But yes, these are large, complicated, vessels that have materials that have been proven to harm the environment.
What type of materials are we talking about? I know in your report you mentioned some of these chemicals that come from these ferries are kind of dangerous.
Yeah. So basically, kind of what I talked about in the story is the Washington State Department of Transportation is gearing up to electrify its fleet. And so once it constructs 16 new hybrid electric ferries, it will have on hand 16 older ferries that they will have to dispose of. And as of right now, the state doesn't really know where those ferries will end up. And there's nonprofit organizations that are very concerned with the transport of hazardous materials, with the transport of the ferries themselves. Deconstructing ferries is just a very complicated process, and often in other countries, it's led to unfair labor practices, dangerous situations for workers who do that. So it's a very complicated problem. And yeah, I mean, transporting hazardous materials across borders it could violate international law, U.S. law. There's, lots of potential legal liabilities too.
It sounds like a multifaceted issue for sure. So briefly, anything on your mind that can be done to fix this issue? What's being talked about in this realm?
Yeah, some of the sources I talked to suggested a shipbreaking facility on the West Coast. So agencies like Washington State Department of Transportation doesn't have to relegate this issue of decommissioned vessels out of the country or, to Texas. But it would also be very difficult to construct that. Real estate on the West Coast is really expensive. People probably would be against a shipbreaking facility in their backyard. So, yeah, but the idea would be something closer where that can happen sustainably and responsibly.
Well, Aspen Ford, thank you for your time and your reporting.
Thank you for having me.